truly believe in the magic.
What's up, Magic fans? I'm Mikey, and welcome to this week's episode of Penny for Your Thoughts, the Orlando Magic UK podcast. Today is Thursday, March the 3rd, 2022. As always, I'm joined by my friend from the Valleys, Mr. Geraint Jones. Evening, mate.
Evening. How are we?
All good, pal. All good. We're running on fumes tonight, aren't we? We've had long weeks at work, so we're gonna bash out a quick episode tonight. Absolutely. Unfortunately, Paul's not with us. We were supposed to have a special guest on tonight, but unfortunately, we've had to reschedule. So we decided we're just going to roll with the two of us tonight and just whiz through this week's games and look at next week as well. So let's get the affiliate plug out the way. So support today's episode and visit the official NBA store or Fanatics using our affiliate link in the description of the podcast. Shop the latest NBA gear and Orlando Magic merchandise, including jerseys, shorts, t-shirts, available with international delivery. Use our discount code MAGICUK10 at the checkout for 10% off your order, or you can use the discount code live on the website. But please note some exclusions may apply. You can find all of our links on our website, orlandoMagicUK.com. Right, let's dive into some Magic news then, G. So let's get it out of the way because we want to talk about this. So Markelle Fultz finally made his long-awaited return on Monday night at home to the Indiana Pacers. I think it was it 419 days since he tore his ACL that we finally managed to see him back out on the floor. He had a great reception from the home fans, and he had as good a return as we probably hoped. He finished with 10 points, 6 assists and 1 turnover in 16 minutes and shot 5 of 7 from the field. So, G, what did you see from your boy from, what was it you were calling him, the King?
The King is back.
The King is back.
It's like when Cantona returned for United, isn't it? Long live the King.
was that before or after he started kicking people in the crowd?
No, that was after, wasn't it? Because he returned against Liverpool. He returned against Liverpool, didn't he? And he scored.
Mate, it's a blur. I don't remember that far back.
Yeah. Back to the Magic. More importantly, so good to have him back. It just felt when he's got the ball, it just feels so natural with him as the point guard. His ability to change the pace. You know, he can drive. He'll pull it up. He'll watch the cuts. And I mean, Paul called it. He was doing his game preview for the Pacer game on Monday. And he just put a little snippet, Fultz drives and dishes it to Wagner, cuts and slams it home. Funnily enough, that's exactly what happened on the very first possession, his first assist. I'm going to ask him for the lottery numbers later. But it's just his ability to find the best pass. And whilst, we've only seen him play, a total of 31 minutes, he's got about 8 assists in that time. As you've mentioned, he scored in double digits. He shot the ball pretty well, 5 of 6 and 5 of 7. He's contributed in other aspects as well, a block, a steal here and there. Whilst it's only his second game back. And he just looks comfortable. And he's been, linking up well with the likes of Wendell Carter, who's been fantastic in the last couple of games, I might add. And I do like when he talks about these kill zones. So I want to see more of these kill zones because, it's just nice to have him back and brings a great smile to my face, as it does, all the fans, really. And it was lovely to see him have a great ovation. And for the whole team to rock up in Markelle Fultz T-shirts. Yeah. There's a real togetherness about this band of players, and they're all rooting for one another, which is cool.
Yeah,
how about you?
Absolutely. Well, let's start with this jump shot. I mean, his mid-range looks pure at the moment, doesn't it? Berry in the mid-range. He got fouled for an and one last night. He's like you said, G. He's got that control of the floor. He knows players' spots on the floor. I think we saw that with like Terrence Ross last night in the loss to Indiana, which we'll get to later. But He's a smooth operator, and he Fultz on the offensive end, and he's got control of he's got a good handle. He's got control of the offense. He knows players' spots. He knows he's just you can just tell watching him how intelligent he is and how much of a high IQ the guy's got. And more than anything, it's just refreshing to see him back out on the floor, isn't it? And hopefully we'll get on to JI in a minute, but hopefully eventually when JI comes back, because it's got to happen at some point, hopefully we see a similar return for JI, because I think he can have a big impact on this team as well. But Fultz was really, really good. Like I said, you couldn't have expected any more from him in shortened minutes. He's probably going to be on a minutes restriction. What would you say at least for the next 5-10 games? I probably wouldn't be surprised if it's right up until the end of the season. But yeah, it was certainly that everyone felt the impact with Fultz back on the floor for the team. So good times indeed.
Yeah. There's no point, like you said, there's no point pushing him. No. 15, 16 minutes. He gets back into the rhythm. Is it 19 games to go? We're not going anywhere. I'm sure we'll touch upon this shortly. But and the other thing I liked as well, he's not afraid to get stuck in either. Like last night, we saw him throwing himself on the floor for loose balls. He was jumping into passing lanes. He's not afraid to play physically, and he doesn't look scared coming off an ACL, which is a good sign. So, it's good to see Markelle back finally. So on to another little bit of Magic news. Earlier this week, John Hammond, Magic general manager, was a guest on 99.69 The Game with Brandon Kravitz, and was asked if we can expect to see JI this season. G hasn't seen this yet, so we're going to get his live reaction. But John actually said to Brandon, there's no expectation either way. We're trying to keep Jonathan ready physically and mentally. He's committed to the medical staff and they are committed to him. That was his response to, can we expect to see JI this season? So what do you think to that, mate? I'm just a bit frustrated. Why can't they just, they've changed their, not story, but ever since the beginning of the season, it's like, oh yeah, he'll be back soon. Then it was after Christmas, and just keep moving the goalposts, and it's very frustrating. It feels like we're being lied to. I know it's probably not the intention, and they're just trying to do it. Unless Jonathan's had some sort of setback they haven't announced. I don't know. I don't see any much point bringing him back for these 19 games that remain. Obviously, with ping pong balls and whatnot, it's only going to give us another boost in the arm, like Markelle did on Monday. And as we've seen, we're a pretty dynamic basketball team with Markelle, and you add Jonathan into the mix there, and I think we're picking up a lot more W's. So, with regard to Hammond, it's frustrating, especially when you saw him on the bench. Was it yesterday when Wendell threw that one down? His knee looked fine there.
His knee looked fine.
So, I don't know, mate. I don't know what to make of it.
I think they're being very careful with what they're going to say publicly, not to put any pressure or to take any pressure off of JI coming back. I don't think that's it at all. I think they realised he certainly made a mistake before the season regarding Markelle, saying we're hoping he's going to be ready for the start of the season. And here we are at the beginning of March, and we've only just seen Fultz return. And I think they're just... But there is no pressure. It's the same as, like, we had this discussion last week about Fultz coming back. Like, there is no pressure. There's other than, say, him building his confidence again and get acclimatized to playing with players that he's not played with before, and just getting that like 20 game sample of what things could look like. Other than that, it's not like we're going out to make the playoffs or try and get into the play-in tournament or anything like that. So from a win standpoint, there is no pressure. We would like to see Jonathan back. I said it last week. You can't see him coming back, and especially with a response like that, he's not coming back anytime soon. And look, nobody should want him to come back just so we see him on the floor like we did with Fultz this week. If we want him back, and we want him back 110% healthy, that's what it boils down to. So if that means he needs a couple of more months of doing strength and conditioning and some work to make sure he's confident with his legs and his knees and all these little setbacks that he's probably had, well, he has had, we just haven't known about them publicly. Otherwise, he would have been playing by now. But look, take his time. There are people like me. I still fully believe in JI. I think it's been that long. I mean, I had a quick conversation with Paul the other evening, and we were saying I think people will forget how much of an impact JI had, especially down the stretch of the playoffs in 2019, and how. I think game 3 when we played the Raptors, how big he was in the start of that game. But you think it's been, 16 months since we saw him return in the bubble. And then you think that was his first return since the injury before that. So it's been probably close to 2 years since we've seen a really fully healthy JI. And I think we've all got short memories on how good he can be. But we'll see when JI comes back. I just think management know that they've just got to temper expectations a little bit and when we can expect him to back. But look, if he's not back by training camp, then let's start getting the alarm bells going. But now there's no pressure, is there? What have we got? 18 games left, 19. So
Here's what it is.
JI, get that leg strong and let's have a good season next year. So last bit of news then. On Wednesday night, former Orlando Magic general manager John Gabriel and former Orlando Magic head coach Brian Hill were inducted into the Magic Hall of Fame. They had their typical afternoon ceremony with Alex Martins. I think that's on YouTube, actually. So if anybody's not seen that and you want to go back and watch that, you can. And then obviously we saw them, was at the end of the first quarter, introduced to the Amway Center crowd, and they had their little ceremony in between the quarters. And then we had Brian on as a guest in the second quarter on the broadcast last night, telling us about how excited he was and how emotional it was for him. We were lucky to have Brian on as a guest last year, back in May. So if anybody's not seen that, go back and watch that as well. But two guys that thoroughly deserve it, in my opinion. What do you think, G?
Absolutely. I'll start with John Gabriel. He was the first general manager when I started supporting the team in 1997. And he was a bit of a pioneer, what I thought. You know, he constructed that Magic team back in 2001. I think he was wheeling and dealing in 2000, moving all sorts of players, contracts, gathering assets, making cap space, and really, tried to get the first almost super team via free agency with T-Mac, Grant Hill, and, Duncan was close, we're told. So, he did superb work there, drafting. You got Mike Miller, just to name one. And everything else he's done in the organisation, working his way through, and he's still working as a scout now. I was just a little bit. I was hoping that maybe he'd have jumped on the broadcast with David and Jeff, maybe in the third quarter, just to get a quarter out of Mr. Gabriel, because I'm sure he'd have had some insightful stuff to share with us. So no, absolutely well deserved. And as you've mentioned, Coach Hill, he's an absolute pleasure to have and speak to on our show. The work he does and has done for the organisation in his 2 stints as head coach. In fact, he actually opened up yesterday by saying he was a bit nervous because he was the only person who's been fired by the Magic on 2 occasions. So, some good banter there from Brian. So no, absolutely well deserved to both of them, and look forward to maybe having a chat with them maybe in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Okay, so let's have a quick recap of last week's game. So the Magic played 3 times since we last recorded, starting with the Houston Rockets, which was it Friday last week? So nearly a week ago, we played the Rockets. The Magic won 119-111. I think this game really sort of opened up for us in the second quarter when we held the Houston Rockets to just 18 points. Big games. Wendell Carter finished with 24 points, 12 rebounds, and a couple of assists. We saw Cole Anthony with 14 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. Franz Wagner, 13 and 8. And then Chuma Okeke, who's continuing his, I'm not going to say phenomenal play, but he's certainly having a very, very good stretch at the moment. He finished at 26 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 5 of 7 from the 3-point line. And he's shooting the ball very, very well at the moment. So, G, what was your thoughts on the Rockets game, mate?
Yeah, I mean, you just picked up on it there. We won it in the second quarter. The defense actually stepping up. And we found that as well in the game on Monday against the Pacers, where the defense stepped in the third quarter. So if I remember rightly, Houston jumped out to a bit of a lead. It's going back a bit now, didn't they?
They did, yeah. I think.
And then, we were able to, I think they went up maybe about 8-10 points. Or was it 14? Right. Okay.
I might be exaggerating. I can't quite remember, but yeah, it was.
It was nearly a week ago. So forgive us. But no, in fairness, like you said, contributions from everybody. It was a game I did expect to win. Obviously they're in transition as well with Jalen Green, but they did have a couple of vets in. Dennis Schroeder, who's always been a bit of a menace. But it was nice to get that
Dennis
W.
the Menace.
We expected it, and I think we were made favourites. And it's nice to actually see us just go out there, do what we should do, and get what in the end was, it was pretty comfortable in the end from what I remember. So, just chalk it up, another W.
Chalk it up. So then on Monday, the Magic played their first home. There's not even a home back-to-back. We just played the same team twice in 3 days. So
home and home series.
Home and home. Home and home.
Is it home and home? No, that's when you go out on the road as well, isn't it?
Hey,
I don't know. You
can tell we've had a long day, can't you? So the Magic beat the Indiana Pacers on Monday night, 119-103. Similar story, really. It was quite the scoring was pretty tight through the first half, and then the Magic opened it up in the third quarter, 35-19. Big games again. Wendell Carter, another double-double, 21 points, 12 rebounds. Jalen Suggs with 14 points, 10 assists, 15 points for Franz Wagner and Mo Bamba, who had the double-double as well. We had 8 players in double figures, which is was it a franchise?
That's a franchise record. Yeah.
And am I getting the right game? Was that the game where Jalen threw the ball off the backboard for the dunk? Yeah.
Hang on. No, I think that was the Rocket game, wasn't it?
Was it the Rockets game? We haven't even brought that up. We'll go back to that in a minute. We'll go back to that in a minute. But another win this week against the Pacers. So what did you see in that game, mate?
Well, first of all, I thank the NBA for the officials this week. Mark Davis on Monday for the Pacer game, and then we had Lauren Holtkamp last night. So they really blessed us this week. But no, in fairness, couldn't really complain that much about Mr. Davis on Monday. Like you said, the defense stepped in the third quarter. Indiana came out blazing, though, didn't they? They couldn't miss from 3. So in order, we did well to keep up with them, and then to continue on, and the offense was clicking. And I believe that having Markelle there was a big factor to that, having that punch off the bench. 6 assists, like you've mentioned, 10 points, and everybody else's contributions. it's a game again. I expected we should be competitive, especially as the Pacers didn't have Malcolm Brogdon playing, and they were a little bit thin when they had that guy. Was it Smith thrown out the game?
Yeah,
that's what Mark did. Was that Mark Davis who threw him out the game?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Well done, Mark Davis.
Gee, if you were there for a game, you'd get thrown out by Mark Davis, even if you weren't playing, mate. So
I'm sure I would. I would. So no. All in all, it was a whole team performance, like you mentioned, mate. Everybody contributing. And just to pick up on what you said about Okeke, he's been so consistent, and he's actually playing like we saw at the back end of last season. You got to give him his credit. He didn't start the season off very well, but he didn't get a full training camp. So props to Chuma, and I'd like to see a bit more of him, and maybe play him at the 4-5, and just go with a small ball lineup just to test things out in these last 19 games, just to see what we can get from it.
Yeah, is baby Kawhi back?
Well, he's very good, isn't he? He's stepping into the passing lanes. He's getting steals. Yeah. He's I saw something on Twitter the other day that had the list of everybody's best defenders. Chuma Okeke was our best defender, apparently, and it's not far wrong. Jonathan Isaac's out. It probably is Chuma. Unless, what do you think?
I think you've got to consider Jalen. Yeah, Jalen defensively. But yeah, it's hard to argue the way he's playing at the moment. Like you said, he's got that confidence to shoot the three again now, and it's quite funny because was it when we had Luke on weeks back now? We talked about Chuma, didn't we? Shooting the three, and now he's starting to turn it around, which is really good to see. And I just think it's. And I said it back in that episode, and I want to say I said something like it was consistency in reps and game time. He's getting consistent minutes playing, and the
confidence just to let it fly.
That's it. And now he's going in. No, and last night we were seeing him catching and shooting the ball when he was getting contested, and there was just no hesitation. He was like, "Right, I'm pulling up for this," and bang. He didn't quite get the rub of the green last night. There was quite a lot that were coming off the rim, but the form looks good. The confidence is there. He's getting the confidence. He's getting the repetitions. He's getting the minutes. So let's hope he continues to develop, because it probably wasn't that long ago when we were probably considering Chuma as one of those players maybe on the periphery, on the outside of the core group. He's not obviously, but like, do you know what I mean? It's as fans we're all fickle a little bit, aren't we? We have our ups and downs. We get excited when Markelle's back and we're like, right, we've seen him play 16 minutes.
What are you trying to say?
I'm not saying anything, but we get a little bit carried away, and that's what fans do. But we just want to see these guys develop. So like I said, perfect return for Markelle, and obviously I think that gave us a lift as well. Gave everybody a lift in the arena having Markelle back. So yes, very good win against the Pacers. So we then played them again on Wednesday evening. Unfortunately, the Magic blew an 18-point lead in a game that I felt was pretty comfortable through three quarters. And you said about the first game when we played the Pacers and they come out of the blocks shooting the lights out. Then they went cold for the rest of that game, the start of this game, and then decided we're going to start shooting the three again in the fourth quarter. They reeled it back, and we got to overtime. And then I feel like we lost our composure a little bit. We let the referee decisions frustrate us a little bit in this game. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I'll let you have ref rant in a minute.
You're not.
but there was decisions in there where you just think, no, you just got to keep playing through it. And it was difficult. Like I said, nobody likes blowing an 18-point lead. It happens. We're young. It's more likely to happen. G actually said to me before we recorded, "Are you happy we lost last night, or are you not happy?" Because the tank talk's beginning. But yeah, go on, G.
Yeah, well, the good was that for 3 quarters, we played pretty well. We were up 18. Okay, we pulled our foot off the gas pedal in the 4th quarter, but the signs are good. You play through 3 quarters and you're up by 18. So that's to start off with. Should we say about some of the officiating?
Go on,
yeah,
rant.
Let's. Well, I don't know what's changed in the NBA rules, because I thought every decision in the last 2 minutes was reviewable. There was one incident where I believe the ball, was it Wagner who stripped Malcolm Brogdon with about 22 seconds left, and it clearly bounced off Brogdon and went out of bounds. We didn't have a challenge left, and of course, that was that. They had the ball. It is what it is. Then we talked about this before the game, didn't we? The Jalen Suggs offensive foul that wasn't. So he was obviously fouled on a 3-point shot. Clearly, Buddy Hield, I believe, hit his hand. And then he came down and they said that he kicked out. But surely the foul should occur when the first foul happens, which is Hield hitting the hand. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you, in fairness, Mikey, did a bit of detective work, and you believe there should have been a violation called before that, but against us.
Well, certainly the Brogdon one screwed us over, didn't it? I think we would have had the chance to win the game. I think we would have had the possession back to try and win the game.
No. We stole the ball and we got it too. Yeah. We got the ball back anyway.
That's right. We got the ball back. But
we just like him to get it right.
The challenge that we used, when you watch the replays, you're thinking it wasn't really worth using it on that, was it? It was almost like we're down to like the last couple of minutes here. We've got a challenge left. Let's just use it and see if the referees make a decision and give it to us or not. And then we should have, obviously, that would have made a difference on that. But anyway, it went to overtime. But yeah, the Suggs 3-point shot, and I haven't been on Twitter today, so I don't actually know. But I actually watched that replay back a couple of times, and I don't know if anybody noticed. So although it felt like we got hard done by, that Buddy Hield actually had it overturned and they called it an offensive foul on Suggs. Suggs actually shuffled his feet several times before he even got the shot off. Caught the ball. I think he sent Buddy Hield flying, didn't he?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Bit of an ankle. I think it was a bit of an ankle breaker. And as he was setting himself up, he shuffled his feet a couple of times, then rose up into the 3. And then obviously that's when the foul occurred. But so actually, for me, it was probably a travel rather than an offensive foul. But that's just minor details because it was a turnover regardless. But I just felt like we got frustrated. I mean, Mosley was getting up in the referees at the end, which was good to see. I like that. I like a bit of fire. But I feel like Wendell had a few decisions that he gets hit most games, doesn't he, Wendell? Because he plays physically.
Twice he lost his goggles, didn't he?
Yeah. But there was a couple of times he was going at one of the referees because he didn't get a call. And I think that's a young player learning to play with it, play through it. And I feel like that was just an example of how the team sort of lost that composure in the last few minutes. And then the Pacers obviously were making their shots in the overtime as well. And we struggled getting back into it then. But there we go.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that Terence Ross technical as well. Frustration at himself, not showing the referees up on anything. I get it, but it's a little bit petty, isn't it?
It is. It is
petty.
As soon as he did it, you knew he was going to get teed up. But yeah, it is for what it's worth. I mean, if the ball had bounced into the crowd or he'd hit somebody, do you know what I mean? Or bounced the ball into another player or something, it'd been a bit different, didn't it? But I don't know. Let him get on with it. Sport in general, I don't even think it's just the NBA. I think sport in general's getting more petty, and they're trying to. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah.
I like a bit of argy-bargy and a bit of fighting now and then. And we don't, a bit like Jimmy Butler said a few weeks ago, isn't it? Just let them fight. But the problem is the last time they did that in Denver, was it Markieff Morris or Marcus Morris? Nearly had his spine removed when Jokic smashed into the back of him. But no, I do like a good NBA fight. We don't see him enough anymore.
Last thing on that game, Mo Bamba. I thought he was superb. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to see. I don't know if it's because, he's getting... no, in fairness, he got these looks without Markelle on the floor. So, he was going out and grabbing things himself. He obviously got the putback tip in to tie us up. Wendell as well, 13 points, 18 rebounds. And I think the stat that Dave and Jeff had about most dunks since like the 11th of February and him being second on that list, it's just showing he's been very aggressive, getting to the cup and stuffing it in. So, no, really, really good to see, and long may it continue.
Yeah, we've got to see that consistency from him, haven't we?
Yeah.
That's the next step for Mo. So last week, the Magic obviously went 2-1, which we just discussed, beating Rockets and splitting the 2 games with the Pacers. Connell and G were correct this week, going 2-1. I think you did say we beat the Rockets and split the series.
I did.
And Connell said we'd win whichever game you said we wouldn't. Watching back earlier.
So sorry, Connell, you got it wrong, mate.
Gary and Paul incorrectly went 3-0, and me being the pessimist went 1-2, and obviously I was wrong. So we're back tied, mate. 7-8. Paul's now 6-9. So we've got 5 games before our next episode next Saturday, the 12th of March. So we start with the Toronto Raptors on Friday evening, which I think is a 12:30 tip-off in the UK in the early hours of Saturday morning. That's the rearranged game from January when it was cancelled due to COVID. Was it January or February?
I think it was December, mate.
Was it December? Was it that far back? Yeah. Anyway, it's the only rescheduled game, so they squeezed that in on Friday night. The Raptors are currently 34 and 27th, sitting 7th in Eastern Conference. They've won they've won the last 2 games, and they have won 6 of the last 10. And at home, they are 17 and 13. In fact, their record's almost identical. Their road record is 17 and 14. So the Raptors, we hate the Raptors. Let's just say it like that. So, but Kyle Lowry doesn't play them anymore, so we don't hate him quite as much. But yeah, it'd be nice to beat the Raptors on Friday. Then we play the Memphis Grizzlies on Saturday evening. So we got 2 back-to-backs in the next week. This one is against the Grizzlies, who are 3rd in the Western Conference, 43 and 20. They are winners of 8 of their last 10 games, and at home they are 21 and 10. I think Ja Morant's coming off. I think he had 52 points the other evening, and that guy's blossoming into a star this season. We saw a glimpse of this last year as well, but he's coming into his own this year. So that should be, I don't know if I could call it fun, but it'll be nice to see Ja Morant play. So yeah, so we've got the Raptors, Grizzlies. We then travel back home to face the Phoenix Suns on Tuesday evening, which is a midnight tip-off in the UK. Phoenix has got the best record in the NBA. The first team to 50 wins. They're 50 and 12. They're currently without Chris Paul and Devin Booker, as you said, G. So I'm not quite sure on the injury status and COVID protocols whether one of them might be back, but that will be a tough game regardless.
I think Paul's out for 7-8 weeks, and I think Booker went into COVID protocols a couple of days ago, so I'd imagine he'd probably miss our game.
There you go. But the Phoenix Suns are still good, so that will be a tough game on Tuesday night. Wednesday, the Magic then travel on the road to face the New Orleans Pelicans, who are 26 and 36. They are clinging on to the 10th spot in the Western Conference. They're on in that last play-in spot. They've won their last 3 games, and at home they are 14-17. There's obviously no Zion at the moment. There was talks that he's gonna be resuming basketball activities again soon. But I put this in the group the other day with Zion, didn't I? About I don't know if anybody's seen the Mardi Gras float in New Orleans, and they basically plastered a massive picture of Zion Williamson, and it had Zion 1 ton on the front of it, holding on to a bucket load of cash, just sat there. I was like, that's not a good look for a guy that you want to be a franchise player.
No.
Do you think it's his last? Do you think he's played his last game there?
I don't know. They're really going to have to resolve it this off season, aren't they? I was listening to JJ Redick speak to Stephen A. Smith, and they were saying that New Orleans released their season ticket marketing last week, and Zion wasn't on it. And if he's your number 1 pick, he's your star man. The face of 2K the last couple of seasons. You really should be, using him as a marketing tool, unless there's some sort of bigger issue. So it doesn't sound good, does it? So it sounds like he probably wants to play for the Knicks, and he probably annoyed the Knicks didn't win that lottery all those years ago. So, but he's contracted, so he needs to honor his contract and play for the Pelicans for me. And I don't like these players being able to force their way out, as we had with Mr. Howard back in 2012, and what we've seen with Ben Simmons in the last season. I don't think it's a good look. I think the NBA needs to do something about it myself.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit more on the fence about all of it, about player movement. It's one of the only jobs where you get drafted by a team and you're stuck there, aren't you? Unless they decide to trade you. I don't know. It's not like sport like we're used to over here, where if a player wants to go and sign for another club, they can. The NBA is a bit more difficult, and obviously it's a bit more strategic, isn't it, when it comes to trading players and players wanting out and getting moved. So I don't know. I think there's a balance with the NBA. Obviously, super teams aren't the best thing. I think that's my biggest gripe with all it is these super teams that get created, and it's all right coming from a small market team or a medium market team like the Orlando Magic, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just tired, man. I'm just talking a load of nonsense tonight. Oh no, I'm moving on. Right, and then the last game of the week is at home to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are 34-29. They are 7th in the West. They are currently 2.5 games back of Denver for 6th place. So could we see the Timberwolves finally make the playoffs again this season? They have won 6 of the last 10 games. They've won the last 2. And on the road, they are 15-17. And that is a midnight tip-off over here in the UK. So we've got a 12:30, we've got 2 1 a.m. tip-offs, and we've got 2 midnight tip-offs for those people that are staying up. So what's your predictions, G? Paul has gone 1-4, as he's messaged us before we jumped on. He said we are going to beat the New Orleans Pelicans at home.
Okay.
Do you agree with him?
I agree we'll probably go 1-4, but that win could come from any of the games, probably bar the Grizzly game. The Raptors aren't all that, let's be perfectly honest. They could be beatable. The Grizzlies on a second night of a back-to-back after travelling from Toronto to Memphis. I think that's a bit too much of an ask. Now, the Suns, as we mentioned, they're playing without Booker and Chris Paul, which puts Elfrid Payton at the helm, I believe. So, we've got our full allotment of guards back. I could see us possibly sneaking it. I really can. If they're playing with the confidence they played in the last 2 games against Indiana, put the ball in the basket, but Phoenix can put a lot of points up. So it's one of these ones. New Orleans, as Paul has predicted, again, beatable, as are the Minnesota Timberwolves for me. And we've done a number on the Timberwolves a couple of times in the last couple of years. So I will go 1-4, but just to be different, I will say we will beat the Toronto Raptors, your least favorite team, Mikey. So, we could beat the Suns, we could beat the Pelicans, and we could beat the Wolves. On the Pelicans, by the way, I like what their official account did the other day when they changed so they were beating the Lakers, weren't they? They destroyed the Lakers by 27, and LeBron got booed, everything. And they changed. Yeah. I can't remember what they said. They changed their Twitter handle. Gosh, what did they say? Escapes me. But just a good bit of trolling from them, and it really irked a few Laker fans. And there's a couple of videos out there. I think we shared it in our WhatsApp group.
Yeah. Of them getting booed, and it was early in the game. It was like early in the third quarter as well. They were getting hammered, and then they were getting booed off as well. But I saw Stephen A. Smith sticking up for LeBron the other day, saying he should be the one player that's not getting booed. I mean, the guy is 37; he's still putting up incredible numbers. But it's still funny watching them lose, though, isn't it? It's great.
We love it, as Kevin Keegan would say.
I love it. But okay, interesting. Well, I'm going to go 2-3 this week. Okay. I'm going to say we beat the Pelicans and the Timberwolves.
Okay.
Yeah, the Raptors. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not so sure about the Raptors. We'll see. That's just my gut feeling. I just don't think we'll beat the Raptors. We're certainly not going to beat the Memphis Grizzlies, not the way they're playing at the moment.
Do you think
the Suns? Go on.
Sorry, on the Grizzlies, do you think Ja Morant's MVP candidate?
Oh, he's certainly got to be up there. I'm not quite sure. Who's your top 3? Who would you say is your top 3?
MVP. Well, for me, he's certainly up there. If you take Ja Morant off the Memphis Grizzlies aren't, top 3 in the West or whatever it is. You take off, who else is there? I suppose the argument could be made for Joel Embiid as well.
Embiid's got to be up there, hasn't he?
And I suppose Giannis. It was a snippet, Shaq speaking to T-Mac about the 2003 MVP race. And T-Mac said, take me off the Magic and, we don't make the playoffs. Whereas you take Tim Duncan off the Spurs, they'd still be in the playoffs. And Shaq didn't agree with him, but Shaq never agrees with anyone, does he? So I'm with T-Mac on that one. No, I think Ja Morant's certainly up there. Certainly top 3, 4. So, fair play to him.
I mean, they've got third best record in the league, haven't they? And he's certainly in the top 3 for me. Embiid, I mean, to me, Embiid, I mean, I know Philly are at 38 and 23, and they're still where are they? Third in the East, but he's been single-handedly keeping that team afloat. You think they've had the whole saga with Ben Simmons. That's finally over. He's now got some help with James Harden. I still don't think it's going to last before Harden decides he wants out again and wants somewhere else. But Harden certainly played well since he's gone to Philly. But Embiid's kept that team where it is, kept them afloat, and he's having a really, really good season. But yeah, I don't know. It's all hypothetical, and it's all different opinions. It's just half the time it's just based on numbers, isn't it? Whereas,
well, he won't get it because he's playing for a small market team. So
you
know how it works.
It's possible. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, so I'm going to go 2-3, beat the Pelicans, beat the Timberwolves, and hopefully. I think the Raptors and the Suns games will be close. I don't think the Grizzlies game will be, but I was wrong last week, so I'm probably wrong this week. So we'll see. Okay, so that wraps up this week's episode. Thank you as always for listening and watching. Please subscribe to the podcast and hit that notification button so you don't miss any future episodes. Make sure you visit our website, orlandomagicuk.com, for the latest news. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. All can be found at Orlando Magic UK. So from Geraint and myself, until next week, go Magic.